The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you, as always, by PayJuryDaily.com. It leads you to the Patreon. You hear that every single episode, though. Here's the big pitch. All's Well, a Night Attack album. You have heard me talk about it, but what you have not heard me say is that at the time that I am telling you that you should buy All's Well, a Night Attack album on the iTunes store for the very, very, very low sum of $1.99, it is currently the number 3 album in the country. You didn't hear me wrong. The country. Not the number 1 comedy album. Not the number 1 album released today. No. The number 1 album, the number 3 album in the country is All's Well, which means you have a chance to put it over the top. Head on over to iTunes. Go to nightattack.tv/album to find out all the details. Never talking about how we support the show, though. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
On the day that we met on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Justin Robert Young program. My name is Justin Robert Young. Joining me today, Brian Brushwood. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, my goodness. If only I could pretend that this weren't the 5th time we were doing it today, and if we didn't have Night Attack coming up right after this, then, my friend, I would be jaded and bitter, and I would not be able to share sufficient amounts of joy for where we are at. You know what? Remember that scene at the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where he turns to Charlie and says, "Hey, man, you know what happened to the kid who got everything he ever wanted in the world? He lived happily ever after. How's it feel?"
I mean, it feels pretty freaking good, man. It does. I'll tell you. You want to know what? I know. Spoiler alert. We're going to go see The Fourth Wall here. Brian and I have literally been doing promo for this album since we woke up in the morning. We've been calling all of our friends' shows. We've been doing the same spiel. So we're going to spare you that right now. And I'm going to do Brian and I a favor, and we're going to give ourselves a little monkey bars so we can get through this episode of Jury Daily. Brian, you don't have a sister.
No, I don't. No, I'm glad finally we revealed this fact.
I don't have
a
a sister.
Thought I did.
I don't have a sister either. We both have a brother. But in Japan, we could fix that problem.
Sorry, go on.
Like literally.
Like we could involuntarily convert one of our male siblings to a female sibling?
That would be one way to solve the sister drought that both you and I experience. But no, okay. We could just go. Imagine me and you, Brian. We get on a plane. We fly to Tokyo. And as many, men do, you say, you want to know what, man? I could really use a sister right now. Like, I really would like to have the company of a sister.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying the companionship, the amiable companionship of somebody who is not the same gender as you, but not in a sexual sort of way?
Yes, Brian. Indeed, in Japan, you can rent a sister. This is a Japanese company that offers little sister rentals. This is from Sora News 24.
And it really looks like there's a mix-up, and you're showing me Bitter Sister Rentals, which is...
No, that's actually the guy. That's actually the guy who rents the sister. It's the back of the girl's head. That's the sister.
It's a little...
We read now. We recently took a look at a service from Japanese company Family Romance, in which you can rent friends, or at least people who pose as your friends, so you can post about your active social life on social media. But as its name implies, Family Romance's primary service is renting out staff members who will pretend to be your family members. Now, right off the rip here, Brian, what is your take on renting a sister?
Well, I understand that there is a value to representing a certain level of social proof, right?
Sure.
Like there's a reason that we have laugh tracks on albums. There's a reason that we trust Yelp on number of stars or whatever. And there are, I'm going to say 2 reasons that people hire escorts, very attractive women, to go with them to events, right?
Yeah.
One might be about a negotiation later in the evening, but there is, I would say, a fairly unambiguously legitimate reason where it's like, I would like to be seen as the type of person who would have some delightful arm candy on my arm, right? I don't know enough about Japanese culture to know how any of this would be different outside of to say, maybe, you want to look more established from the community, like this is, you got roots.
Apparently, this is primarily targeted at a lot of guys in Japan who just don't leave their room, have become shut-ins, find society too stressful, they feel isolated, and so they become more and more disconnected. And so the little sister rental industry is all about that softest of ways to pull you out of your room. It is all about that idea that it's not some random woman, it's not a coworker, it's not somebody else that you just met or a stranger. No. This is you. All you have to do is play into the fantasy of, I guess my little sister wants to go out to get lunch and then she's going to go shopping and she wants me to go with her. All right. Like, so that's, you are now using that as kind of the wedge that gets you a little bit more into society.
There's a video game where it had 3 different difficulty settings. Like, one is like hardcore. I shoot everybody in the eye. Medium. It was like, I guess we can fight. And then there was like, instead of using the word easy, it rephrased it as, hey, I am somebody who has nothing to prove. It's the end of my day. And if I just want to blow up a bunch of people and feel powerful, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what this feels like in terms of social getting yourself out there, right?
So this guy rented a little sister. Here is the process of how you would rent a little sister as part of family romance, which, by the way, I'm just saying, because of our recent influx of a certain kind of pornography, like having sex with your family apparently has never been more exciting for people who want to masturbate on the internet. That is like the number one thing on Pornhub constantly. So the idea that you're like, oh, I want to go and hire familyromance.com, which I'm sure gets a little bit into the translation, is certainly funny on a certain level. But all right, here's how you rent a sister. As part of the initial request, customers are asked to list the date in which they wish to rent the little sister, where they want to meet, and what locations they'll be going to during this session. Customers can also make requests regarding age, appearance, and personality. Seiji, who is the guy who rented it, feeling slightly embarrassed about revealing his preferences, asked for a little sister in her late 20s or younger who likes the flashy style of clothing called gyaru fashion from Japan. And he added that, ideally, he'd like somebody who looks like the model Yukina Kintoshina, who also has a geeky, otaku-like hobbies and surundir hot and cold personality. So that's how deep, that's how granular you get when you're renting your little sister.
Can I say I'm 100% like in favor of all of this? Because like specifically, okay, so let's say what you're really, forgive me if you've heard this before, what you're really buying, right, is a reason to be out in public at a place.
Yes.
If it's you by yourself, then the reason is you're desperate and you want to find somebody or whatever. But for just a little bit of a few thousand yen, all of a sudden your new reason is your sister, you know, loves you very much and has been desperately trying to get you out and about with your friends or whatever. That seems like worth a little bit of coin, right? And if once you've crossed that threshold, then why not specifically figure out what kind of sister you would want, because keep in mind, if somebody's going to play your sister, that might be the beginning of a different type of relationship, not just one that we think of as sexual, binary, male, female.
Yeah.
But instead, imagine like, well, as long as I'm leaving the house, not only would I love to get a girlfriend, but maybe I want a bro friend. And what kind of bro would I like to hang out with? I would like a bro who's into what kind of girl. I think I'm 100% on board on this all the way through, man. I can't see very much wrong with this at all.
So apparently this was a really, really, really big hit with the guy who did it. He was apparently planning on playing a little bit more of a role initially, that he was going to be the like grumpy big brother who was being dragged out by his little sister, and he was going to, go shopping with her but not be real happy about it. But he was having such a good time. They wound up laughing and smiling throughout all of it. A big win. And it sounds like you are in on this. So I'm going to ask you, Brian, this is still a business. It's not it's not called Rent a Little Sister Friends. It's called the Rent a Little Sister Business. It means there's a little yen changing hands for a 3-hour session. What do you think this service goes for?
It's got to be roughly.
And actually, before you even give the number, what would you comp this? Like, what would be a similar job that you would be comparing this to see if you can figure out the price on it?
Okay, so a massage therapist is about $100 an hour. A psychological therapist is, let's be generous, say $150 to $200 an hour.
Uh-huh.
This is somebody who I'm going to say there's less training that is required to guarantee a certain minimum level of service. So I'm going to put it slightly below massage therapist because there's no certifications.
It is less intimate, right? Like you just have to hang out and drink coffee and interact with somebody.
None of which is to say that maybe the two of you don't click and you guys work out something else, because like it may be that in the early negotiations, one of the things that you hear is, oh, this is great. Not only do you want a physical human body of the opposite sex to go out with you and give you a reason to be out, but I'm also looking for somebody. So maybe as with the agreement that you're not going to be my date, but maybe you could help me be a spotter or whatever. I mean,
that is one element that and I guess that this again shows the separation between the social mores of America and Japan. That initially I'm like, oh, a little sister. I mean, that's for people who want to go out if you're single. The idea of hiring a little sister that you're then meeting people with. I mean, I guess you'd have to get over on the other end, like, oh no, I hired this woman as my fake little sister. That might creep people out. But there would be a great thing if you're out just trying to meet people, because then she's gonna be able, like, there's nothing more social proving that you're not a creep or an a-hole than having a happy woman next to you that you're not trying to have sex with.
I have to imagine, though, that discretion is one of the utmost imperatives in this, right? Like,
yeah.
If the whole thing boils down to hire a wingman, and even if it's a co-wingman where she's looking for boys and you're looking for girls, and it's like, look, I'll pay you money, just please help get me out of the house.
Yeah.
I'll cover everything. You got to imagine that it's only like after she marries whoever she found that she finally reveals to that person, oh yeah, no, I was definitely being.
Wow, you're thinking it's that late? It's not like a third date or a fourth date kind of thing. Like once you know that things are going well.
I mean, unless like it could be a third date thing if on the friend level you and your contractee like oh my God, I think you should go with this person. Oh, we're doing it, and we're we're having the conversation as though we're just friends, even though I know this is a professional deal or whatever. I could see like by the third date where it's just like, okay, look, it's weird now. Can I just tell them? And I assume that it's a two-key operation, right? Much like releasing a nuclear device where both parties are just like, hey man, we're both gonna just go ahead and share. Got it? Right? All right, let's go.
Oh man. I don't know. I kind of feel like that's like, hey, if you're hiring the person, that's your discretion. 100%. Like, you have bought the rights to say that I hired a sister, along with that initial yen payment. But beyond that, I don't know. I guess I would be like, look, you go on a couple dates, and then you're like, okay, things are going well, right? Like, these are like the last few days. The last few dates, it's been really great. We're having a good time. There's something that I do have to tell you. I feel like if you laid it all out, you're like, look, I was a real shut-in. My job really stressed me out. I hired somebody to help me kind of mix things up exactly for the purpose of meeting somebody like you. It worked. I'm happy that I did it. But just know that, Yukio isn't my real sister. She got paid.
Well, and so in this regard, here's the weird part is, I'm much more concerned with Yukio than myself. Like, I understand that
Yukio's a professional. Yukio knows she got into this shit. She knows what she's doing.
Fair enough.
Yukio's at her place cleaning her gun, looking for the next contract.
So what is the question that we have to dissect?
All right, no. All right, first, I'm gonna two things, and then we're done with this. Number one, your guess: how much for 3 hours to be your little sister?
I would say 3 hours, 250 American dollars.
Brian, are you in for a bargain when you hit Japan and get your own little sister?
Oh, it's a lot more, isn't it?
$135 for 3 hours.
Okay, I should have known that because they definitely were offering massages for like 20 cents. Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. By the way, that's kind of a thing. Everybody kept saying that Tokyo is expensive, I think, to live, but there's a lot of stuff. I mean, because the dollar is fairly favorable to the yen. You can get some bargains out there, yen style. All right, Brian, I'm gonna ask you this last question.
All right,
you're in Tokyo now. You're tempted. You're enticed by the idea of hiring a little sister. What age? What temperament would you like your little sister to be?
This is like, okay, why? I think
this is the process. This is like you would go to the familyromance.com site and you'd be facing these drop-down menus. This is what it means to rent a little sister. So age-wise, where's your age range? He said 20 or below. So I guess we could go in 5-year increments. Help me
understand why I might hire a little sister. Because I'm a 44-year-old man.
Yeah. Who's never had a sister.
Correct.
Maybe I'll tell you what, Brian, you have 3 daughters. Each of those daughters has 2 sisters. Maybe you just want to have you want to know what their future, just a tiny little glimpse of their future, of what it's like to hang out with one of their adult sisters later in life.
Okay. So here's the situation in which I would totally do this. I would hire a sister of the same age as my eldest as a chaperone. So that there could be 2 sisters, like this is my little sister and her friend, my daughter. And then, and know that somebody's being watched out.
So you would hire a 14-year-old or 15-year-old little sister?
Somebody would pass for 14 or 15, which stop me if this surprises you. Feel like any number of Japanese girls.
Let me just tell you, number one, before we, all right, there were some very, 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 there were some manga covers I did not find appropriate while I was traversing the streets of Tokyo, is all I'm going to say.
What's funny, legitimately didn't know if like I thought you were harboring some resentment about the stuff my daughters read.
No, God, no. I'm just saying there's different social norms about how sexual you can make young children in animation out in Japan. That's all I'm saying. So I'm surprised you didn't go with somebody either 5 years older than you or 5 years younger than you that would drive a 4-wheel vehicle, or you could just hang out with and shoot the breeze with.
So hold on.
This is you as a dad saying no matter what, even this, which would be a purely personal use of my time and money, where I'm experiencing something that I've never experienced before, I'm gonna still think along the lines of a father.
I feel like the number one benefit to hiring a little sister in the context that we've heard so far is to open up doors that would be awkward without a little sister. The idea of hiring a little sister as an end unto themselves, for which you would have with which you would have a conversation, that feels like a different thing that I'm so much less interested in. Does that make sense? Like, I'm so much more interested in hiring a gatekeeper or a door opener or somebody to get me around and take me through the place to cut through the BS.
Yeah.
But I'm going to guess that I'm probably in the minority of people who look at hiring little sisters that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, considering I didn't know that you could hire a little sister until about 2 hours ago, I will say that my feelings on the subject are indeed evolving. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. JuRyDaily@gmail.com. Again, JuRyDaily@gmail.com. Brian, we do have a few quick emails here because I know we got to move. Number one, Matthew wrote in, said, your wonderful audio recordings caress my oral cavities at work while I study stem cells and neurons made from them. Most recently, I was catching up while taking pictures of stem cells on a fluorescent microscope for an upcoming publication. This is part of, Brian, I've asked everybody to write in because I'm fascinated with daily shows that become part of your routine, where I am on that. And then, of course, Stephen asks, who is Mr. Wacky? To which I respond, friend, aren't we all a little bit Mr. Wacky? Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this. Brian, All's Well, a Night Attack album, out now. We've talked about it all day, so I'm not going to have you give the plug.
Just what is... though? Can I make a pitch?
Yeah.
All I want is somewhere out there in their audience is somebody who, for whatever reason, has never heard a single episode of Night Attack. Oh my goodness, to get the impressions of somebody who's never heard a single ounce of our silly comedy show.
Yeah.
To just say what it's like to encounter this artifact, I would love that very much.
Come on, write it in, JuRyDaily@gmail.com. At Schwood on Twitter, of course. Monorogue, Scam Nation, all the fun stuff. I'd like to thank our grand jurors, the ones that pay to have their names at the end of the show. Bill, Dustin, BioCal, Robert H., Brian C., M., Trey the Melodica Man, Adam and Middle-Aged, Mike, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Justin R. Young, and you can join our Discord, bit.ly/jury, Discord, JuYDiscord. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, please give a round of applause to Mr. Wacky, and please, don't.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.